pinned a window right here between these two cars in the parking lot. Then I turned and walked away, just left it behind me in the parking lot, walked inside, walked all the way down this long hallway, totally out of sight, around another corner, into the studio, and sure enough, that window is still right there where I left it between those spaces in the parking lot. The only thing holding it back from being nearly perfect is occlusion. Basically, the only thing that ever gets between the window and you is your own arms and hands, which is usually totally fine, but if you have something like around a corner, it doesn't put the wall in between you and the window, which is where it should be. So sometimes it gets a little wonky. But overall, 9 out of 10 already, really cool. But the second it gets dinged is when you want to do this in more than one space. So let's say at home, I've set up all these sweet monitors. I've got a virtual TV in one room and a game and some windows all over the walls or whatever. Cool. I pack it up, I drive here to the studio, and I put it on. And the second I start opening apps here, they have to disappear from home. They basically disappear from any other space and open in your new space. So there is no memory of different older spaces. So when I go back home, my windows are all going to be gone and I'll have to set them each individually up again. Not a huge deal, but if it had a memory, wouldn't that just make sense? I wonder if you could set up like little beacons. Like all it really probably needs is like a QR code or some visual identifier. But basically you get home, you put the headset on, it sees the beacon and then it goes, oh, I'm at home. And then it puts your windows all the way up where it already knows you usually have them for work. And so you basically just kick back on the couch, put the headset on, and you don't have to reset up each window in all the same places you want it every single time. It just remembers that. That would be sick. Those two features alone, I think, would make a dramatic update to how often I realistically would use Vision Pro. Just, I don't know if that requires some Vision OS software update or if you need more compute to do things like more memory of locations or shared computing spaces. But that's the giant things that I think are missing from it. That would be awesome. Then the rest of the stuff on my list anyway is maybe a little more icing on the cake. Like here's another one. I think probably 99.99% of people who buy a Vision Pro have an iPhone. I think that's pretty safe. It might be 100, but I think that's a reasonable assumption. And I found it interesting. I think a lot of people assume that it'll just connect to the iPhone, and they think that they'll be able to see their phone notifications straight away on the Vision Pro. But it's not. It's a separate device, like a Mac or an iPad. So yeah, it'll show you iMessage stuff because that's everywhere, but it is a separate device. But you know, the obvious difference is unlike a Mac or